All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so this will be a little bit of an interesting meeting tonight because we don't have a quorum. But we felt it was still important that we get together and that we meet and we tell you what's going on and give you an opportunity to see that, you know, the bills are getting paid and things are moving forward. So sorry about that, Jim. You missed the pledge. Okay, so I can't actually approve, but I do want to just mention that the minutes have been submitted and they are online from October 21st, 2024 meeting, and they'll be ratified at a future meeting.
Here's the question, they're not online because they're still in draft.
Oh, are they out here at all?
No, because they're in draft form. You guys always said do not release the minutes until you voted on.
Okay. In this case, you think it'd be okay for us to put them up, Dave? I just feel like we're getting too backed up.
They're going to be put up when you're able to ratify them, so I would wait.
Okay,
But we're not breaking that rule.
okay. Well, we do have them if anyone wanted to see them. Okay, so I did want to announce that we were awarded the bridge grant of $2.36 million. And that's about 80% of the total that's required. And this is for the Buttonwood Bridge. So yeah, I know, big deal. And that is, you know, thanks to Bowman Engineering for pursuing that grant for us. We believe the last time we looked at it that total should come in around $3 million, but there's a lot of legwork to be done before we get there. So that would leave us with somewhere around $600,000 that the township would pay. And of course, bridges don't get built quickly. So we need to plan for how we're going to be paying that. And I don't know if anyone has any questions about that at all. Okay, seeing none. I did want to mention about the Cato meeting. That's the Chester County Association of Township Officials, which I went to on last Thursday. And Donna Delaney came with me as an ambassador of our committees. And we were pleasantly surprised to get awarded the Exceptional Township Award for our work in sustainability. And that's a pretty big deal considering how many townships are in Chester County, and we're getting awarded for that. And they specifically mentioned our single-use plastic ban, our woodlands ordinance, which we did a couple of years ago, clean energy transition in their plan and educational sessions. And of course, and we also talked about the healthy yard, which some other townships were very excited about, which just kind of brought all those things together. And if anyone hasn't done our healthy yard survey, give it a try because it is very fun, educational, and if you do well on it, you get a cute little plaque. So there's that. And we did get 5 bids in. There were 6 people showed up for the fellowship trail project. 5 of them did submit bids, and we're going to have to award that at our next meeting at the December 16th meeting. And we did get a bid, the low bid, which, you know, wasn't too much less than the last bid that we got when we tried this before, when we only had 1 bidder, but it is less. And I believe it was around 600,000, Jim. Do you have the amount on that?
Yes.
It's in here somewhere.
610.
And that,
$4,100.
and that included the extra that they put in for the fencing. So, and our grant is for $233,030 or $300, something like that. It's like $230,000 plus. So, you know, that's still going to give us a sizable chunk that we need to pay for that. And one of the things that we were just talking about was if we could take that, 350 plus and use open space funds to pay it. Another idea too is we're looking at, since some of the specs change over time on that project, looking at if there's a way to lower the weight load on the bridge that's on there that might bring the cost down. So we're looking at seeing if we can bring the actual cost down a little bit. Otherwise, we're looking at how we're going to spend the rest of that, but we're excited. It's
Where the Butch Bridge?
it's a footbridge.
Oh,
It's not like a
there's a weight limit on it?
Well, it was designed to allow a pickup truck to drive over it. And so they're looking to see if they can lower that threshold, so
Oh,
it
so
wouldn't
it
accommodate a
comes-
pickup
Mhm.
truck, but might
Technically not a
accommodate.
pedestrian bridge if you don't do that, is that the?
Yeah, well, I guess if for purposes of servicing the park or the trail, the Public Works wouldn't be able to use some vehicles over it, so I guess.
Is this?
Did you want to come up? Do you have some questions? Want to use the mic so we can hear you?
George Zelchinos. Yeah, is this in order to use open space money that is that related?
It would be, the township match would be open space money. So it's a grant, but it's not enough to do the whole project.
And the open space money, it's because the trail goes through open space? Is this count as maintenance? I mean, it's not acquisition, obviously.
It would be, the township is allowed to use 25% for maintenance and construction. This would be construction. And what this would be doing would actually be linking the open space with Andrew Evans Park with the open space in Weatherstone.
Okay.
That's.
So even though the intervening area is not open space, you could still fund it
That's
because it
correct.
connects open space?
Correct.
Or that's the theory.
Mhm.
And then what the weight limit on the bridge is because of the grant? The grant
No, I think
required?
the design had, required specifications to allow a pickup truck to drive over it for maintenance purposes.
Sure.
So they're gonna look to see if, do we really need a pickup truck weight to drive over it? Can they lower it and just? use
Because
the
it's a more
outside?
expensive bridge? Is that
Yeah.
what you're trying to do? Is trying
Right.
to
And
cut the
this
price down?
This has been in the works for a very long
No
time.
kidding.
And it changed a little bit
Yep.
through the process.
Yep.
So, that's partly why I think we got less money for it than, normally we would probably have gotten a bigger grant for this, but because of the change in the specs, and we're trying to look at, is there a way that we can bring it back down a little bit?
Okay.
But I think.
Okay, I just wasn't,
I think we want to move forward with it one way or the other, but we're just trying to see if.
I guess
way.
my question was whether we're changing the specs on the bridge to qualify for a grant, but that's not.
No.
No,
Okay.
The grant's
Yeah.
already been awarded.
we have the grant. It's
Okay.
just not going to cover the $600,000.
Yeah.
It's not even quite half of it, but
Yep.
I
Okay.
think we need to actually finish that trail. Thank you. Is there anyone else who had a question about that? And we're also announcing that we are putting forward an application for grant monies through the local share account statewide Department of Community and Economic Development. And that is, has to do with the casinos. Can you explain that a little bit more, Jim?
Yeah, when the casinos operate in Pennsylvania, a certain portion of the proceeds goes to the state. That's part of the state's allowing them to operate within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And so on a semi-irregular basis, the state makes those funds available to municipalities for grants of up to $1 million for the purchase of equipment and for other programs. So what we're looking at doing is potentially purchasing, we're using the grant to purchase a couple of pieces of equipment for the Public Works Department.
Thank you. And then just one more thing I wanted to mention. You may have seen the beautiful tree in the lobby. And thanks to Christina for putting it together, which was wonderful. And thanks to Jan Nakahara and Tommy Lloyd, who donated that tree to us. And Christina's doing the project for the Giving Tree again, which you need to do by December 17th, so that if you're interested in getting a gift for someone in need, and they would take care of that. I think they get the gifts actually on the 17th, so they need it by the AM. So if anyone's interested, please feel free to help yourself. And I would like to introduce Sergeant Russell so he can give us a police report.
Hello, yeah, this is the October 2024 monthly West Vincent Township Police Department report. No training in October. Summary totals: number of calls for service 220, number of crimes investigated 6, number of arrests 0, number of traffic stops 20, and number of accidents investigated 7.
Thank you very much.
Nice night.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Jim, would you like to announce our treasurer's report?
Okay, this is the summary of the funds as of the 31st of October. General fund, $1,679,797.58. The capital project reserve fund, $2,533,873.19. The capital equipment fund, $265,277.46. The capital road fund, $1,833,444.08. The Citadel Fund, $24,080.87. Non-uniform DC pension, $51,029.99. Payroll, $57,787.71. So the unrestricted township funds total $6,445,290.88. Restricted township funds, ARPA funds, which came from the state through the federal government for COVID, $132,004.13. Open space fund, $4,786,916.88. Liquid fuel fund, $393,444.87, for a total of restricted funds of $5,312,365.88. Non-township funds, escrow funds of $870,306.09, and a sewer fund of $28,279.39, for a total of non-township funds of $898,585.48, a grand total of $12,656,242.20. You'll also see on what was published the balance as of 9/30, and also the balances as of 10/31/2023.
And can we can't approve the bills list, but because we're going to have to ratify that at a future meeting, but can you give us the total on that, Jim?
The total of the bills list, and it's a quite extensive bills list at this time, is $494,548.11. That includes fireman's relief of $67,000 plus. That's money we get from the state each year, which then is divvied up to the 3 fire companies. There's also quite an amount in there for 457 contributions, which is employee funds that are withheld from payroll to fund the 457 plan. There was also in this bills list the minimum municipal obligation payment to fund the police pension plan of $140,637. That was funded through state pension funds. Also funded through state pension funds was money that was the township 401A contribution, which is the township's contribution to the non-uniform pension plan of $48,122.52. Again, that was funded by state money. Also in this was the workers' compensation cost for the Letters Corner Fire Company, police pension plan funds, which were withheld from police payroll, healthcare, the one-time payment of property and casualty insurance, and money relating to my services and the search for a new manager and treasurer. Out of the $494,000 total, those expenditures totaled to $386,000. So the other bills totaled slightly over $108,000.
Does anyone have questions or comments? You beat you, Jamie. Go on up.
Back again. Okay, so in the bills list where it's, you mentioned 457 and so forth, that's listed as pension in here, is that?
That is correct. The 457 plan is the pension plan. It's a defined contribution plan for the non-uniform township employees.
Okay, so we're,
Gets funded every payroll.
okay, so I'm just looking at it, says a check to Matrix Trust, police pension, manager pension, code pension. So those are all,
Withheld from people's salaries.
oh, they are.
Yes.
Yeah, 457.
I see,
It's
so
the-
withheld, but it shows as a payment because
It's because it goes through our accounts. Yes.
okay, and that's for, is that, what period does that cover? Is that for the year or is that
Oh, no, that's payroll.
that's for a month?
No, that's per payroll, which is every other week.
That's for a week.
Yeah, what,
It's
what,
October 4th through November 15th.
that may, well, I'd have to look at the exact expenditure, but typically we try and do contributions to the 457 plan on a per payroll basis. There was some lag in doing that, but we're all caught up now.
Okay, so it,
So that might be a double.
so what period does this cover? Is it more than the October 4th to 15th or?
What page are you looking at?
Page 7 of the check detail.
I think checks that are written during that period of time.
Right.
I'm not sure that's the period for which the checks apply.
You might have to dig back
Checks,
for that.
that check was written on October the 7th.
That's correct.
So
Yes.
it may not apply to that period.
Is there something we can,
Maybe
is there
previous
something we can
period.
get back to you with that you want to know?
Yeah, I
What
guess
the
I'm,
period
so we didn't
is.
post the bills list in September or October, so I assume
Mhm.
this is cumulative for all that
That's correct.
time?
Correct.
Yeah, I'd be
If you
curious.
want to know what a pay period looks like, we could probably find that.
No, I'm just curious what period this payment covers. You can get back to me on that.
Okay.
On page 8, there's a payment listed as accounting services to Markham for $4,200. What was that for?
It's. oh, oh,
That-
it's your-
That was part of forensic audit that was done 2023. And that was the final payment to them.
Okay, is there a reason that we're like a year after?
Yeah, the township disputed their.
Okay.
billing
I
and
thought it was
We
excessive.
came to an agreement. They actually agreed to accept about
Okay, so this is for
1/3
the,
of what they claimed they were entitled to.
okay, so this is not for new services, it's
No.
the existing,
Right.
okay? Okay, so on page 13 for Jim, services, is that, what period does that cover?
That
2 months. isn't it?
covers, just the month of September.
That's September, okay. So, okay, so I guess there'll be more coming up, certainly.
That's correct. Until we have a
That's
replacement.
right, you're 2 months behind. I was thinking it was 2 months, but you're 2 months behind.
Okay, and then I don't think I saw this in the bills list, but in the treasurer's report and the P and L statement on page 5. There's a, I think it was page 5, yeah, there's a payment listed to Sienna Law, and it says Township Police Contracted Services.
Yes.
What is that?
It relates to an arbitration which is currently ongoing.
Is there a reason that we would use, are they, how do we select the
Chris
attorney?
Gerber is the best labor lawyer in Chester County.
Okay.
Was that
so-
selected by the chief? I'm not sure.
I'm
Who's
not sure who was
selected?
selected by, but
Okay.
I know him by reputation,
Okay.
and Chris Gerber is the best.
Well, I don't know. It just says Sienna Law. I don't know who the attorney.
The lawyer, it's the only lawyer that we use at Sienna Law is Chris Gerber, who is a labor lawyer.
Okay, and then, my usual question is, can we expand the memo field so it's not truncated? And,
We keep trying, yes.
We
I'm
do
trying-
have
Actually, what I'm gonna try for the next list is we have the ability to download this into an Excel file.
I would like that. Jackie told me she couldn't do it. She would,
Well, we found a way, I believe, to download this into an Excel file so that once we do that, we can then play with the fields on a.
is that something you make read only and post it? Then we don't have to, it's easier to search if you have a file.
Understood.
I mean, she was worried about it, that somebody would try and make a fake
Manipulate it.
manipulate it. If
Yeah,
you
well,
make it
that's-
read only or lock
I
it or
understand
make it
that.
something. I mean, that way we don't have to even go around this. I don't know how many people in here go through all the
Mhm.
pages, but I'd use a laptop if you had that. Save paper.
We do have a temp who's in that we got from Keystone doing some accounting work, and he's pretty good at QuickBooks, and he's been helping us sort through some of that.
And he can do reports, I assume, or he's pretty good at that,
Helping.
hopefully.
Jim through that, yes.
We're working on it.
Next month's gonna be great, right?
It gets
Next
better all
month,
the time.
The hope is that each month will be an improvement.
Okay. I hope so too.
Thank you, George. Jamie, did you? Okay.
Real quick, Barry DeLibero. The Markham bill, so what did it end up coming in at? You said it was about 1/3.
42, 240, $4,202.40.
That's a total cost for the job?
Was
No,
part of they had two outstanding invoices.
Mm-hmm.
That was one, and then they had another one that was around $8,000 or $9,000.
it was an additional reconciliation on top of what.
Oh, okay.
And we felt that they didn't really do what we asked them to do. We ended up Jackie did it herself.
Mhm.
So we disputed the cost.
Sure. Well, good. I'm glad you guys did that. That's fantastic. And will we be getting bills lists on a more regular basis now instead of a quarterly basis?
Well, it wasn't on purpose.
No, I'm just asking, that's all.
Yeah.
But they'll be coming monthly or weekly or
Well,
bi-monthly as the case would be?
Bills lists will usually come before each meeting of the Board of Supervisors. They didn't come at the last meeting because I was away.
Okay,
He was
Great.
off for 2 weeks.
okay, fantastic. Just asking. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jamie McVicker, Black Horse Road. I love this report. First of all, the summary. This is the best we've seen probably since you left. But I have some questions about it.
Sure.
Just off the top of your head, the general fund's down 400,000 from a month ago. Was there any particularly big expense that came out of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we sort of went over those expenses in the extraordinary expenses that we talked about earlier. So the payment of the MMO, the payment of the 401A, see, when we get state funds, the state funds come into the general fund. So, and fireman's relief is one of those. So we're talking between pension funds and fireman's relief is roughly $255,000 that comes into the general fund, which then goes out of the general fund to fund the police pension plan, to fund the 401A plan for the non-uniform employees, and to also go to Ridge, Kimberton, and Mother's Corner Fire Companies as fireman's relief.
Okay, but so the revenues didn't do enough to offset that, I guess.
Well, actually, what happens is because state funds come into the general fund, you end up overstating the general fund because like for firemen's relief and for the pension funds, they come in, they must go out within a certain period of time, and that's what happened.
Hmm.
So you see, they come in late September,
Which
they're
translates
reflected
to
in the
number.
account, and then they get paid out, and then they're missing it on the next month's accounting.
And from this time a year ago, we're up 500,000. So I'm not questioning anything on any sort of legal basis, just wondered what the big drop off. And similarly with the Capital Road Fund, it's down 1.4 million from a year ago
Right.
and down 300,000 from a month ago. What's
We paid bills.
That's
We paid,
January.
that's Janie Lane, that's asphalt repairs, that's tar and chip on Schoolhouse Lane, the micro repairs in Matthews Meadows, and I'm trying to think of the Rachel Drive, and there's one more.
It's probably down from what was projected because of the no rain. You know, without the rain, they haven't been able to do a lot of the gravel work they wanted to do, which would have cost us more.
is there
we
any
can't,
reason?
we can't really work on the gravel roads because of the dust issue.
Phew, tell me about it. I live on a dirt road and live 75 yards up the hill and our cars are coated with dust.
Yeah.
And the Capital Road Fund being down 1.4 million from a year ago, is that any cause for concern? Or we,
No, that's exactly what it's there for.
well, I know what it's for. I'm just
I mean,
wondering.
it's to repair the roads, and the township has been aggressive in terms of making repairs and doing paving.
So at this rate, next year, we'd be around 400,000 left in the Capital Roads Fund.
That's entirely possible, yes. But again, that's what it's there for. You know, next year, to the extent we're gonna be replacing the Buttonwood Bridge, that's gonna cost the township $500,000, which is gonna come out of the road fund. The other thing that you notice, though, is we did not use liquid fuel funds. We do have sitting in liquid fuel funds almost $400,000. And in prior years, the use of liquid fuel funds we use liquid fuel funds instead of using the road funds. And the only issue I have with using liquid fuel funds is you have to be very careful in terms of what you use them for, or the state auditors will make them pay yourself back your liquid fuel funds, which
There's no
seems.
time frame for that.
No,
right?
yeah, and it's an interesting exercise, but what, you don't pay the money back to the state. If they disallow an expense, you pay it back to your liquid fuel fund. But I'd rather not worry about the auditors, so this year we spent the money out of the capital road fund.
Could you talk some more about the ARPA fund? You referenced COVID. So tell us what the plan for that is or what the requirements are. Do we have to spend that?
By the end of the year.
Okay. And what are we supposed to spend it on? Is it
We can spend it on everything except interest, payroll. You're not allowed to fund pension plans with it, but it can be spent on equipment. It can be spent on, can't be spent on bonuses, on payroll, but it can be spent on bonuses. It can be spent on all sorts of projects. Most of what's already been ARPA funds have been spent on has been, I think
A lot of roads.
a lot of roads, a lot of stormwater
Public
work,
good.
also signage for certain other parks.
Hmm.
So
And we were talking about earmarking the rest of it for the vehicles.
right, we have a police vehicle or two that's on order that currently is being finished for delivery. That's a possibility. We also have a public works truck, which is also has been ordered. The thing about ARPA is you must have ordered them by the end of this year, but not necessarily spent the funds.
okay?
One of the things we're going to have to do sometime next year is account for all those funds, which is no particular problem because for the most part, they're in a couple of major road / stormwater projects.
Thank you.
Hello, Julia Brandell. Now, I know you usually don't ask questions about the bills list and all this kind of stuff, but I have a question. So when you say, what is the total of all of this?
The total of all the.
Because it's not on here anyway.
I read it, it was, yeah, it's 400.
So that's the difference between the general fund for September and now, right?
No,
No?
no, because there are some ARPA funds in there and there's also some.
In the general fund?
Maybe some road funds in there, I'm not sure that there are, but
Oh, so in the,
Pull from the general fund.
it's not a pull from the general fund.
so all of this stuff is not pulled from the general fund?
No.
Is there any way, I mean, is it stupid to say like I'm looking at it and it says, oh, there they are, ARPA funds and stuff. Is there any way to have them totaled at the bottom so that we can figure out how much is each fund?
Again, we talked about that earlier. I'm trying, if I can get things moved into Excel files, that'll make it much easier to do that.
Okay,
Right now, it is, in QuickBooks, it is very difficult to do.
okay. But the guy the temp that you have here is working on
We're
that,
working
hopefully?
with them to see if we can move everything over into QuickBooks. Into Excel. Excel files are much easier to total.
Okay, well, yeah. I
And-
mean, I could do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do in QuickBooks, but I could work in a Excel file. So the temp that we have, how much is that person working? Because didn't you guys approve 20 to 30 hours a week or something like that? I guess he's not working that much. If
We
he,
No.
have 2 to 3 days a week for the first month.
Right, and he's
Not-
been
It was up to
working.
that amount.
right.
It was see how much time he needs to do the
Right.
tasks that he's asked to do.
Got it. How much is he in it? How often is he here?
He's
Well, he
been
was
here
here.
about two, at most 3 days a week. A lot of what he's been doing is reconciling accounts because I don't reconcile accounts and I don't
Mhm.
want that to fall behind. So he has reconciled August, September, and he's just about finished with October.
So we're almost up to date is what you're saying. And how's the search for the new person, treasurer or whatever going? Are we searching for one? How's that going? Like a permanent person?
That's with
That's
the
just
search
done.
company.
Have we gotten anybody?
They're still in their process.
Okay, so we haven't had any,
They don't just bring us everybody as they come in the door, either for the town.
they're gonna find
They're
somebody.
gathering, they're vetting them, they give them a certain date, and then we have to interview them as well.
But we don't know how long it's gonna take.
We do.
I don't remember the
I
time
think it's
frame.
the
The
end
treasurer
of December they were giving
is
it.
ahead of the township manager, the start of the process for treasurer. And the township manager process is underway, but I thought that they were going to hold out until about the middle of December to wait for resumes. Get as many people to respond as possible before they close that off.
Got it.
Township-
So, but we have no idea how many people have responded. They're not saying, oh, hey, we have 100 people want that job,
No.
or we haven't gotten a single one.
They are getting, they did say that they were getting some quality
Yeah.
responses
They
and,
haven't reported
you
any
know,
more
we're
detail.
waiting.
Okay,
Well, not to me anyway. I don't think they reported to you, but they haven't reported to me yet.
okay.
So they're in the process, and we want them to go through their process. I mean, they're the professionals that are doing this,
Mhm.
so they recommended the process they've used in the past, and we're letting them go through their process.
Is our temp guy from the same company?
No.
No, okay,
Guy is from an accounting firm.
From an
They
accounting-
Locate,
okay,
but not from that firm,
okay,
from a separate from an accounting firm.
okay. All right, so maybe by the next meeting, he'll have the totals on the bottom of the pages
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe not.
or the Excel file.
Honestly, not as big a prairie as some of the other things.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying, when you're looking at the number, like what, we're saying, it's like you have this number and this number, and you look at this and it's like, I can't, I could sit there like George, which I'm not going to do, and go through everything ahead of time and get my calculator out and add it all up. But, it just
Well,
makes sense if the
we
totals are there.
understand that it's important to you, but what's important to us is that the accounting get completed and fixed. So that when it's time to audit the books for the township for 2024,
Mhm.
that audit can go through smoothly and.
Well, yeah.
efficiently
And that's
quickly.
Well, I understand that.
So,
I mean, but I thought that the guy would be here with the amount, with what you approved as far as the number of hours that he was going to be able to be here, that he would be
I think
here.
he is.
Okay.
It's been here
It's
3
just-
days. I think.
it's just the priority of what he's doing.
Full days,
what-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's-
Since when? A week?
Started them, but
You've been here 3 full days since we started.
Hey,
How long ago was that?
did a bang up job in that time
2
frame.
weeks.
Okay,
I think it was a little longer.
okay.
So,
All right,
and,
yeah,
and
we're-
the other thing you need to understand is when you look at this, the summary of funds and the
Mhm.
balances,
Yeah,
the general fund is also receiving money the whole month. So it's not just payments. It's, they're receiving.
where's that? Where,
Plus-
where, is that on the profit and loss? Is that where those numbers are?
That's where it should be.
Okay.
And.
Is it easy to
also-
find?
We're also getting interest.
Mhm.
So it's much more complicated you can't just take the bills list, take it away from last month's number and expect to get this month's number. That I hope is never going to happen because that means we received no income during a month
Okay,
and no interest.
right. Okay. Well, no, I understand that. It's, for people like, I'm not a accounting person, so
I mean, honestly, I'm extremely,
I know how to make change. Like
Satisfied
kids
that-
don't know how to make change anymore. You go and you pay cash for something and you
No,
can't
I-
get it, but you
I
can't
know
get the
some
change,
kids who
but
don't know what the little coins stand for. That's a little scary, but I'm really happy that
Mhm.
we have the bills reconciled. That was the.
Right.
goal for
we'll understand. Yeah, obviously. I'm just
That
thinking
was
like
a
when we're looking
huge concern to me.
from a common person looking at it, making it so it's easier to understand. That's all.
We'll do
That's
our
all I
best.
have
Thank you.
for now.
George?
Just quick, sorry, I didn't think of this before, but since you brought it up, the audit for 23, is there an update on when
He
that's
came
gonna
in
show up?
and-
Ongoing, as we reported before, as he was here a month or so ago.
Yeah.
Hopes to have it completed by the end of this year.
Okay,
So
so
he's-
you think by the next meeting?
I don't know.
The end of this year is after the next?
I don't know. It's not in our hands, it's in his hands, but they're working through it. They've asked the township for documents, which the township has provided, which is typically what they do. So he seemed, again, it was at the last meeting, I guess it was October's meeting, he seemed as encouraging that
Mhm.
he was gonna have it completed by the end of the year. But,
No, we've had
depends on
no
what he
hiccups
finds.
since then.
It's
You have no reason to believe he won't?
No, there's been no hiccups. that
Not
we've
said
been told.
otherwise, and, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about the
We're
24
very-
audit? No.
Well,
24 audit's likely going to start in February. And we
it's,
hope to have it done in April.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Looks like we can move on to Jim's manager report.
Other than what we've already discussed, which is the grant and such, there's the pipeline. The state just passed a law with respect to the pipelines and requirements on the pipelines. It's a very comprehensive law. And we have, I think, 6 different pipelines in the township, and they're going to have additional reporting and other safety requirements imposed upon them by this law. So it's something which is viewed favorably by the township. It was something that was advocated for by PSATs, which is the Pennsylvania State Association of Second-Class Townships Supervisors. And hopefully this will improve pipeline safety in the township and throughout the state.
Does anyone have any questions? Nope. Okay, so old business, the Butterscotch Cafe conditional use, which I know everybody was looking forward to being tonight. And that was due to scheduling conflicts and at the request of the attorneys involved. The ongoing hearing scheduled for tonight will be rescheduled to a date to be determined. And it's to be determined probably going to be into the next year because these attorneys are insisting that they want all 3 supervisors together, and we can't guarantee that right now, so we are moving forward. Does anyone have any questions? And also the 1414 Birch Run conditional use, that would also have been decided tonight, but again, since we knew we weren't going to have a quorum, the owner agreed to extend the decision deadline until December 31st, So we should be able to do that at our next meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, new business. Jim has a presentation of the 2025 proposed budget changes.
One of the things that we will do momentarily is that we will advertise the budget and have it available for public inspection. Since the last budget was made public, we've made some changes to it, which I'll indicate as follows. In income under rents and royalties, we've increased the rents and royalties by $18,000 to reflect the rents from the cell tower, which were not otherwise reflected in that estimate. There really are no other changes with respect to income. In terms of expenditures, for the alarm security company, that's gone from 7,500 to 12,000. That is for upgrades to the system. We have the quotes for the upgrades, and that's what the additional cost is going to be. For the Environmental Advisory Council, the budget went from 500 to 2,000, which reflects their request. For the Historic Commission, it was reduced from $1,000 to 500 to reflect expected expenses. Litter lifters reduced from 700 to 500 to also reflect expected expenses. Professional services, I'm trying to say, this is 407.310. This was increased also to reflect expenses. In the IT section, rental of equipment / software went from 0 to 3,600. It costs us $3,600 a year to have Microsoft 365, and that's what that cost is. In terms of minor capital equipment, also under IT, that's gone from 4,000 to 7,600. That now includes additional police laptops that need to be replaced. Engineering services generally up $20,000 to reflect what are expected expenses. Office supplies increased from 10,000 to 18,000, also to reflect expected expenses. In terms of contributions, ambulance / rescue, that went from 0 to $5,000. Fire company contribution is now set at $100,000. Zoning hearing board salaries went from 2,500 to 5,000 to reflect what we expect will be additional hearings. That's what we expect based upon current activity. The Open Space Committee, of which I'm the chair, went from $500 to 0, which reflects what we do not expect to spend next year. Small tools and minor equipment, and this is for public works. We've increased that from 3,500 to 12,000 because of certain small pieces of equipment that need to be replaced, like chainsaws and the like. And one of the things that, of course, they're called out to do on an emergency basis is called out 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to take care of trees and such that come down. So there is a need for that type of equipment, and also a need to replace that type of equipment on a fairly regular basis. For the treasurer, we had originally had it in the budget as part-time. What we've heard from the recruitment company is that it's virtually impossible for them to recruit someone for a part-time position. So we've made that part-time position into a full-time position. Last in the regular budget would be in healthcare. That went from 0 to 18,000. That reflects health equity accounts. They're actually health savings accounts that certain employees have. There are certain employees who have chosen to have high deductible healthcare insurance through the township. And if they do, the township has agreed to fund health savings accounts for them up to a certain dollar limit. So that's what that is for next year. In terms of changes to what I'll call the fund budgets, on the capital reserve, we've set aside an additional $1 million for building renovations and an open space. we're going to set aside $250,000 for the fellowship trail for next year. So those are the changes. Because we don't have a quorum, but we do need to move forward. We are going to advertise the budget, and we're going to advertise it's available for public inspection. So a copy of the budget will be here, and if people want to physically come and inspect it, they can. We will also put it on the website, so hopefully you won't need to come and do that. But if you do want to come and do that, this is Pennsylvania, and the law says we must advertise it and make it available for public inspections, which is what we'll do.
Now, Jim, can I just ask, for Ludwig's Fire, they, were, they did want 100,000 for the next 2 years for the truck, which way back when, I guess that was agreed to, that overall we would do these 4 installments. And those are the last 2. But they were also hoping that we were still going to be able to give them the 46,000 or so yearly maintenance. Are we able to fit that in there? I know you have the 100. You couldn't get that in
The,
there.
the answer is right now, the surplus is down to 8,000 and change.
Mhm.
So absent either removing things from the expense column or somehow increasing revenues, we don't have the money to do it.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any other supervisors here to discuss that, but so hopefully. So we are able to advertise this, Dave, without anyone.
By law, we should vote to advertise it, but you're not gonna be able to vote to it, so I'm instructing Jim to advertise it.
Okay,
And we will ratify the advertising of it on the same meeting that you vote to approve the budget.
all right. And that's what we'll do. Also, Dave, I don't know if you want to speak towards presenting the employee handbook.
Well, I don't want to get a whole lot of detail tonight, but the supervisors are interested in updating the handbook. There was a number of people that commented, staff and supervisor comments over the year. I've taken all those comments and I incorporated them in a revised version of the employee handbook. It's presented tonight to the board. I recommend the board accept it at some point when you can vote so that it becomes the book for the employees going forward.
Would it still supersede what's been out there that was never really approved before? Because the big concern, because we want to hire some new people, so we want,
It's gonna be effective when it's voted on.
okay,
So hopefully that'll be before you hire your next employee.
right,
But even if it happens after that, all
right,
employees are subject to this whenever you vote on it. But it would supersede any policies that are in effect now. This will become the policy of the township with respect to the employees.
all right. Yeah, there were a lot of issues with the previous one that never really came before us, and
Apparently.
we really want to just get it buttoned up before we have some new employees, so. I thought it looked good, but I guess we'll wait on that and get that ratified as well. And lastly, we want to acknowledge receipt of a zoning hearing board application from 3502 Augusta Road, Biggar. And that's all I have for tonight. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? Jamie?
We weren't given a chance to give input on the budget and employee handbook, so I'll just address
Oh, I'm
those now.
sorry, that's.
On the handbook, were the
So-
employees consulted at all on the changes?
Yes, a number of employees recommended changes.
Okay, so the current employees have seen it and,
Yes,
Not all.
not all of them, but some of them.
okay.
Most of them wrote it originally and rewrote it.
Are there any employees here who could speak to whether they have any thoughts on it or whether they had a chance to review it? I hope they'll get a chance to review it before it's adopted for their input, all of them. On the budget, what's the plan? Like, I have lots of questions about the budget. Could time be allocated in the working session, assuming there is one in December, before presumably it's voted on in the meeting The third Monday of the month. Or I could send in my questions either for private response or to be answered during the meeting.
Well, you can do it the way you want. I mean, there's no reason why it can't be discussed at another meeting before it's adopted.
Well, the only reason from my standpoint, and I'll do whatever you guys want, but it could be like, could take quite a while. And putting Jim in particular on the spot when he doesn't have all the data in front of him would make it tough to answer some of the questions.
Well,
My suggestion would be send it, the first thing to do would be to send it to me.
Yeah.
Because that would hopefully, I mean, if there's a lot of questions, like, you know, that we could hopefully winter down some of the questions and make it shorter for any meetings that come up.
That's what I'm thinking too. But even so, do we plan to give any time to it is there going to be a working session the first Monday in December?
well, that remains to be seen, whether there is a quorum here that.
And that was my
Well,
question. Can we have a workshop without a quorum?
No, you're not technically having any meeting without a quorum, but we could certainly convene for informational purposes like we did today. If the board wants to, if Dana wants to do that, if there isn't another supervisor present, and answer your question. No reason
Great.
why we couldn't do that.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
And I'm willing
Just like
to,
having an informal meeting, we all gather here and say, come on in if you got questions about the budget.
I think originally that's what we were told the workshops were for. They've sort of morphed into actual votes on things, but that was, I think, the original concept of the workshops was just for us to kick things around. All right, I'll send in questions. Any updates on why there's no quorum tonight and why there's been challenges with full supervisor attendance?
We really can't comment specifically other than both are unable to attend.
Well, yeah, that's helpful. Are things looking up? Are we more likely to have
We're
quorums
hopeful.
in the future?
We're hopeful.
I think we're expecting to have a quorum by December's meeting, but I don't know that we would at that workshop, but I would be willing to come.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there, Julia Brandell back. So one comment that I have is if we're going to have a full-time treasurer, everything that we're asking for with all of the reports should be perfect, I would assume, because they're going to have a lot of time to make that perfect. On to the quorum thing. What happens if we don't have a quorum in December and we can't?
We're not there yet. Let's just wait until we get there.
We understand the process, so.
Let's just wait till we get there.
I mean, are we going to put ourselves in any, or is the township in any jeopardy if we don't have a quorum?
I'm not gonna go there yet. Let's just wait till we get there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Steve Sladik, 1420 Hollow Road. Jim, I'm not here to put you on the spot, but I had a question the last meeting, you weren't here. I was wondering if you had any update on the drainage issues on Schoolhouse, the drainage and then the fixing of Schoolhouse Road between Hollow Road and Flowing Springs. Something Jackie was supposed to be working on.
And
Asked her for an
the
update
township
before she
engineer has been working on it, and
Okay,
if you want to leave information with me afterwards, I can get back to you personally on that.
can I email you at the manager email address? All right.
Manager at westvincenttwp.org, please. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's not to complain, but it's been 4 years. I've got, even through this drought, I got water draining into my yard. So it needs to be fixed at some point. And I don't know what I'm going to do next.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks.
send me, I know that the township engineer has been working on it. I just,
In the summer, we had a meeting with him. We agreed on a new plan. He was supposed to draw up the plan and then get to work on it. And
Is that another one of the things they can't do in a drought?
not that I'm aware of, no.
yeah,
Not an
probably.
issue.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I just want to reflect on you know, this Buttonwood Bridge business, I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest township giveaways to a developer to have accepted that bridge, $3 million to replace it. I mean, that's a tremendous cost. I just can't picture how that ever got accepted by the township.
When was that?
We didn't.
Nineteen
accept-
fifties.
Oh, you mean why we
The
accepted?
bridge was built
to
in the
begin with?
50s?
No, it was accepted by the township in the 1950s.
It was,
It's been dedicated to the township for, I believe.
so that was a township road before the development?
Close to 70 years.
I wish we didn't accept it, but we did.
Yeah, that was a township road before the housing?
I believe the bridge was.
The bridge was a township
Bridge-
road.
Bridge, it's been there for a long time, and at least what I remember from way back when was that the township accepted dedication in the 1950s for that. I can be wrong, but that's my understanding, and it's none of the people who are on the board now had anything to do.
I understand that. I'm just, as I said, I'm reflecting on, this is,
Yeah, well, it's
for the
a,
number of houses there in a cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
$3 million to fix.
do you know what a gift it is that we got that grant?
It is.
Changed the regulation.
Yeah, we didn't pay for it, but some taxpayer is paying for it, you know, it's just, I mean, yeah.
Because that was the big concern, was that no one was ever gonna award a grant when
Yeah.
there's only 9 residents there. So.
Yeah, well, something to think
Excited
about when
about
we
it.
get new plans. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jeff Kimes. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief from Lower's Corner. I'd first like to thank the Board of Supervisors in West Vincent Township for all the support that you've given the fire company over the years. Specifically on the budget, it is a little disappointing to hear that we won't be receiving an operational budget from the West Vincent for 2025. We do receive operating budgets from our other municipalities that we service, East Nashville and Upper Euclid, as well as the money that you graciously have given us for the operating reserve. I would just ask that West Vincent reconsider that then. We do rely on that money. We are volunteers. Obviously, the prices of costs go up and everything, and we were looking forward to maybe having an operating budget as well as the reserve as well through West Vincent Township. So I would just ask if you could reconsider that, if there's a way to make that happen. We do heavily rely on that money. West Vincent Township does make up over 50% of our call volume. So that includes our fire and EMS, and more than East Nashville and Upper Euclid Township. So I would just ask that there can be a reconsideration for that, please. So, thank you.
Understand. Thank you. Anything else? All right, seeing none, I think we're adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, man.